Welcome everyone to EagleCast, an FRC podcast out of North Carolina. This is episode 4 and I'm your host, Tejas Kakade. I'm a junior at Enloe High School and this is my third year on the team now, and I joined in freshman year. I'm on team 4828, the Robo Eagle. Today I have co-hosting with me, Ravi Aechan. Ravi, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Ravi Aechan and I'm a junior at Enloe High. I've been on the team for 3 years and this is my third year on the team. I mainly do mechanical and I'm also on board. And basically this is how I met Tejas when both of us joined as freshmen on the team.
Yeah, so I also do mechanical, driving, and board. And so, now we've progressed through build season, we've gone through 5 weeks, and so bag day is basically right around the corner. We only have a few days left, and most teams are beginning to wrap up their robot. So, Ravi, how do you think our team's progress is looking right now? I know we've been working pretty diligently on this.
So, this year something we tried new is building another robot, a secondary bot for programmers and drive team, just so that they can have most of the main functions that the programmers can program presets for the limit switches and stuff like that, and the drive team can actually drive the secondary robot, as opposed to as the mechanical team is still working on the main robot and making all the finishing touches and LEDs and stuff like that. So I think it's a really good thing, but it also kind of slowed us down, on building our primary bot. What do you think about that?
There's definitely a bunch of pros and cons to building a second robot. I think for us, the pros was we kind of just took all our prototypes and put them together on a chassis, and that's how we came up with the second bot. And it really allows us, the programmers can test their code, they can test their encoders and get their values. And so that when we make our actual robot, we can just transfer everything from the secondary one to the primary one. But the disadvantage is it takes up a lot of time and resources. So, we have to have an extra chassis, extra electronics, and the amount of time that goes into actually building a second robot takes away from time building the primary robot, which is why we are a little bit behind right now. But so to counter that, actually, we have started meeting every single day for this week, and that's so that we can get the robot completely finished by bag day.
Yeah, but at least now our programmers are happy that they have enough time to do all their programming and making sure everything's working, and that they're just not the night before trying to do everything. And
also, what have you noticed about CAD on our team? So we normally don't do CAD much. We normally don't CAD up our designs, and so has that caused any issues for us this year?
Yeah. So for example, we noticed that one mechanism, which is an arm, was too big to fit in between other components, and with simple CAD, we probably would have found that out and maybe would have made changes before we started building everything. Now, we found solutions now, but it wasted almost 2 or 3 days because we were trying to go back to the design board and change some of the measurements and values, right? Which would have been way easier in CAD, since we'd be visually seeing what was wrong with our design and all our components. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I definitely agree. So CAD is kind of an essential part of building a robot. So I feel it could be a centralized focus, and then you can build around it, which really helps. So adapting CAD for newer teams or even better teams is definitely a good idea. So also, are there any tips that you have for last minute kind of bag day preparations or anything?
Yeah, for sure. So I know our team on bag day next Tuesday, we meet right after school ends and until 12 at night, and I think it should be that everyone plans before, that everyone on your team, even rookies, know that you're gonna be staying till midnight, just to make arrangements for food and stuff, and also that you guys get everything in your workshop prepared for bag day.
Yeah, definitely. And so between competitions, we actually do have also 6 hours of unbag time. And so during these 6 hours, we have a multitude of things that we can actually do. We can attach any parts that are not attached yet. We can do driver training, and by that I mean working on rotations, working on what to do in sandstorm. And so we can also attach different components such as LEDs onto the robot too if needed.
Yeah.
So
For sure. I know our team on our calendar, right? The calendar that everyone sees. In previous years, we have put what days we're gonna unbag and what days we're gonna work outside of the without unbagging, right?
Yeah.
And also, I think now now that we have our secondary bot, right? We won't be relying as much for practice on unbag time, that the driver can just go upstairs and use our secondary robot to practice instead of wasting mechanical team's time on unbagging and trying to practice while mechanical team is still attaching stuff.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely helped. So now we're gonna move into our Eagle interview segment. How this works is every week on the podcast, we will be interviewing a different FRC member. And so today we have Ayush. Ayush, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Ayush. I'm a freshman at NC State University. I've been on the team for 2 years as a member, and then this is my first year as a mentor.
Yeah. So Ayush, how do you feel about our robot this year compared to previous years that you've been on the team?
Well, this year, what I find a little different than last year is the machining level we've taken part in. I mean, I know last year there were some measurements that were completely off. There was always mistakes. So at least this year, we're improvement in measurements, on the robot, and sharper cuts, sharper everything. Looks more professional, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, how do you feel about like the second robot that we've created? And is it worth building a second robot year after year, or do you think this is just a 1 year thing?
I personally think that this kind of decision should be made in the middle of the season, because if you see your team kind of slowing down, not having enough time not enough time for programmers to do their thing, then I think building a second robot is a good thing. But if you see that you have enough time, you might have a week or so left over just for testing, programming, practice, stuff like that, then I would say that just hold off on the second bot and just work on your primary bot.
As an alumni mentor, how do you feel the team has improved this year compared to previous years?
I think it's improved. I think we've been more open to newer ideas this time. The prototyping sessions in the beginning of build season, everyone got a chance to build the prototypes, either worked on it. I really loved how the team came to a consensus on which direction to go in, what kind of arm to use, what kind of wrist movement, all that kind of thing. So I think the team has been better structured this year in terms of making decisions and making better decisions.
Yeah,
I definitely agree. Okay, so thank you, Ayush, for coming today to be our Eagle interview person.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you, Mentor Luthra.
And thanks, Ravi, for coming and co-hosting with me.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, thank you all for listening into EagleCast, an FRC podcast out of North Carolina. And remember, there's episodes every single week, so stay tuned for another episode next week. We actually have a special bag day, special little episode coming, and stay tuned for that. That's going to be exciting. So always remember to keep building strong and soaring high. We'll see you next.